Have you ever noticed how some gadgets just appear out of nowhere and suddenly they're everywhere? Well, today we're pulling back the curtain on the wild world of robotic vacuums. We're going to look at what's making them so popular and the clever marketing that's getting them into all of our homes. Let's jump right in. Hey everyone, and welcome to the Salon. This is where we take a look at really complex trends and reports and, just break them down into insights that actually make sense. Today, we're getting into a really fascinating market report that shows exactly how the battle for your living room floor is being fought and won. So all the info we're digging into today comes from a super recent report. It's from December 2025, put together by the research unit Endata. And what they did was a really deep dive into the robot vacuum market, especially on platforms like Douyin. And let me tell you, what they found is pretty mind-blowing. Okay, so let's start with the big picture here. Just how fast is this market moving? The short answer?
Ridiculously fast.
Get this. In 2025 alone, year-over-year sales for these little robots on Douyin shot up by a staggering 51%. I mean, that's not just growth. That's a full-on explosion. And this chart right here really puts that into perspective. We're talking about a market that leaped from about 2.2 billion to over 5.2 billion RMB, that's Chinese yuan, in just 2 years. It's pretty obvious that those huge shopping festivals are the main battlegrounds where all these sales are really happening. But here's what's so interesting. What's driving this whole boom isn't just that more people are buying, it's what they're buying. The game has totally flipped. It used to be all about grabbing the cheapest deal you could find. Not anymore. Now, people are all about those premium features. This chart tells the entire story. See, while the budget-friendly models under 3,000 RMB are growing a bit, the real action, the explosion, is happening in that 3,000 to 4,000 RMB price range. People are more than willing to pay extra for better navigation, more power, and just, smarter features all around.
So with all this cash flying around, who's actually winning? Who's taking home the biggest piece of the pie? Well, it turns out this is a battlefield dominated by giants.
Yeah, this is absolutely a market of titans. It's incredibly concentrated right at the top. Get this, just 5 brands, we're talking Ecovacs, Roborock, Dreamy, Narwhal, and Mova, they control a massive 88.5% of the entire market. Everybody else, they're basically left fighting for the scraps. This tree map gives us a really cool visual of that dominance, right? It shows how giants like Ecovacs and Roborock just own the space with their most popular models. But their success isn't just about having a hit product. Oh no, it's about knowing exactly who they're selling to. And these brands are absolute masters of targeting. They're not just selling a vacuum, they're selling a solution to a very specific kind of person. Like, take DJI. Their product isn't for just anyone, it's for that tech-savvy professional. And Narwhal? They've completely zeroed in on busy parents who want the best. Ecovacs has managed to cast a wider net, but it still skews heavily female. Let's just zoom in on DJI for a second, because it's the perfect example. Their target customer is crystal clear. A young, male professional, probably lives in a big city, and values high-tech performance over everything else. See, it's not just a vacuum to them, it's a piece of tech, a gadget, and DJI has marketed it perfectly to that exact person. All right, now for the how. It's one thing to have a great product and know who your audience is, but it's a whole other thing to actually reach them and get them to buy. And this is where the strategy gets really, really clever. So really, how do you do it? How do you sell millions of these pretty complex, high-priced robots on a platform that's famous for, dance videos and memes? Well, it's not magic. It is a very, very well-oiled machine. And here's the playbook. It's a powerful 1-2 punch. First, they seed the market. That means they get tons of different influencers, from serious tech reviewers to lifestyle bloggers, to talk about the product, show it off, and build up that all-important trust. Then, once everyone's interested, they harvest all those potential sales through their own brand-run live streams. And would you look at this chart? It shows that exact strategy in action. Just look at the data for the second half of 2025. For the top dogs like Ecovacs, that huge yellow bar shows that the vast majority of their sales come directly from their own brand live streams. Influencers are absolutely critical for getting people excited, but it's the brands themselves that are closing the deal. Okay, that was a lot to take in, right? We've gone from massive market growth to customer profiles to sales strategies. So let's just boil it all down to the three most important things you need to remember from this whole report. First things first, this market isn't just growing, it's actually maturing. The crazy growth we're seeing is all happening with those premium, feature-packed models. It's like consumers are past the novelty of it, and now they're ready to invest in real quality and performance. Second thing to remember, even though the market is huge, don't think for a second that it's a free-for-all. As this chart makes painfully clear, it is completely dominated by just a few key players. So what that really means is that if you're a new company trying to break into this space, the barrier to entry is just incredibly high. This is a game of titans, plain and simple. And third, and maybe most importantly, there's a clear winning formula here. This seeding and harvesting model is the engine that's driving this entire e-commerce machine. You use voices people trust to build interest, and then you use your own platform to turn that interest into sales. It sounds simple, but it is devastatingly effective. So why does any of this matter? Because look, this isn't really about vacuums. This is a blueprint for how to build trust and drive sales for any big-ticket item in today's digital world. This two-step process, build credibility through others, then close the deal yourself, that's a lesson that applies to pretty much any industry out there. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Robot vacuums have pretty much conquered our floors. So as our homes keep getting smarter and our lives get even busier, you have to wonder, what are robots going to clean up next? Thanks for stopping by the salon.